Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de, oh boy, this recent interview where Gwen Stefani literally said, I am Japanese a few times during an interview. And basically what my thoughts are on the implications of the statements themselves and the obvious accompanied media backlash. Hey, Zempak here. So obviously, I am Asian, in case someone blind is watching YouTube, which I'm not sure how that's possible, but hey, I don't claim to understand the YouTube audience one leg. And also, I need to get this pretext out of the way as well, right? I absolutely, generally adore Gwen Stefani as a musician and personality, really. This is probably mostly because, I love No Doubt, right? Her original band back in the days. Probably because I grew up with that band as a teenager. I even went out of my way to buy any musical magazines with No Doubt on the cover. Considering how little disposable income I had at the time, I feel like this marks me as definitely at least a real fan, okay? I have to say that bit because today it's probably more criticism than not, right? On the subject of whether I'm surprised or not as to why Gwen would claim subcultures such as Japanese. Note that I would never say that she can't say this or that. Okay, this is America. Dudes and dudettes, you can say whatever the heck you want, but everyone else is also free to have adverse reactions to statements of questionable merit, right? And I'll probably touch on a bit on the general topic of cultural appropriation and whether I think the backlash is overblown, okay? I'll link the article where this interview with Gwen takes place and got me down this rabbit hole to begin with down below. So if you enjoy some random rants from a dude with zero production skills, clearly, like and subscribe, share and comment, or whatever, okay? I'll be great regardless, because I do these for funsies. Okay, so point number one, first I want to start with what I agree with Gwen on, and here's a quote from her, right, in the articles, and I quote, "If we didn't buy and sell and trade our cultures we wouldn't have so much beauty, you know? We learn from each other, we share from each other, we grow from each other. All these rules are just dividing us more and more," end quote. Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me, right? At a basic level, I think people from various cultures absolutely should be learning from each other, right? Gwen also at some point talks about the influences, let's say, latinas had on her as she grew up in Southern California, right? Along with the intermittent Japanese influences via her dad who traveled to Japan for work. That's totally cool. I'm with it so far, right? I think it's fantastic to be influenced. I love that she appreciates a variety of styles. I mean, it makes sense, right? He's an artist, and an artist in general able to find inspiration where us normies might not see it, right? How's her appreciation of the styles of harajuku or whatever different than my love of German-engineered cars or French cheese, right? I just want to make it explicitly clear that I don't think liking or loving aspects of someone else's culture or being inspired by thought processes or even objects from other cultures that's never wrong or forbidden, right? This is my normal objection to the idea of, what is called cultural appropriation, right? If someone's coming from a positive mental state and wants to share what they love about a culture different from the one that they grew up with, all the more power to you, okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, there is still a difference between loving a foreign culture and, well, being or existing within that culture, right? Leads me to the next point. So, like I said, that leads to the crux of the question for today, right? Is Gwen Stefani Japanese, as she repeatedly claimed? No, she absolutely is not, okay? I have seen zero evidence of her being Japanese, okay? She loves some Japanese stuff, sure, just like lots of Americans do. I mean, seriously, if you lived in a big enough city, like I grew up in New York City, and if you ask what most people's favorite food is, there's probably like a good 10 to 15% that'll say sushi. But I'm going to guarantee that none of those 10 to 15% of the people would ever claim to be Japanese just because they appreciate one aspect of that culture a lot, right? The follow-up question I'd ask myself is, can Gwen ever be Japanese? And surprisingly, I'd say, yes, she can be, but I doubt she'd be willing to put in the level of effort, right? We live in a globalized world right now, and someone's really bent on diving into a foreign culture, like for good. It can be done. I mean, if you become a Japanese citizen, I'd argue no matter what you look like, You know, as long as you're always conducting yourself like a Japanese person would, you would be Japanese, okay? Then you can say that. I mean, at the very least, though, that would imply a mastery of the language and local customs. And no, you would not be able to be both Japanese and American, okay? I think that's a bit of a sticking point for most Americans, right? We're so used to hyphenated versions of ourselves due to the usual, you know, ancestry point of view, right? But let's be clear, to the rest of the human race outside of the USA, nobody thinks Italian Americans are real Italians, okay? I doubt they'd even accept, you know, Japanese Americans as real Japanese either, right? So I think Gwen's usage of the sentence "I am Japanese" misses the mark quite a bit, right? But it is uniquely American, right? Because no Japanese person would ever accept this in their hearts, even if they don't object to that statement that she makes explicitly. Shh. You know why? Because Japanese people just wouldn't butt heads with you over a statement like that. That's part of, you know, being polite and AKA Japanese, isn't it? And finally, right, I want to address one of my pet peeves about the reasons given as to why cultural appropriation is bad and seems to be limiting one's general desire to simply express themselves, right? However clumsily I take Gwen's statement to being Japanese are. Right, and that's the idea that appropriate culture are being painted simplistically and therefore inaccurately, and that can lead to pain on the people of said appropriate culture. In this instance, we're referring to Asian Americans in general, because God knows most people in the US anyway can't tell between a Japanese person or any other East Asian person, okay? Really, the complaint is about the general commodification via a perceived oppressor, who's usually, I guess, a white artist, right? I actually find this type of argument reductive and pointless, as we are in the 2020s at this point, right? If you want people to have a nuanced vision of the subculture of whatever East Asian region to be understood, let's be clear, we can make our own art, right? Lack of access is no excuse at this point, right? Viral internet videos are all the rage, and it is actually quite democratic. It's democratic. Or just look at K-pop. How the heck is that stuff so popular? I mean, I don't really get it, but I don't knock it either, okay? You know why? Mostly because it makes East Asians look cool, right? Even if I disagree with K-pop's like aesthetics and emphasis on artificially weird, makeup-filled, pretty boy looks kind of thing, you know, but the media cannot simply keep claiming, oh, only white people have the power to oppress others. What? Asian Americans are literally the richest subsegment by income in the whole country, okay? We can make ourselves heard if we really wanted to, right? Money equals power. We only need the political will to actually spend that money on this type of subject, right? If we really wanted to, okay? I think most East Asians in the US actually just want to stay under the radar, not rock the boat. And that's okay too, but that's a choice that we make. Okay? So in conclusion, I don't think Gwen knows what she's saying, and for me that's actually okay. She's just an artist, a creative, right? Like many other artists or pro athletes or people in the public eye, let's be clear. Not the brightest bulb in all areas of life, right? They're obviously great at whatever they got famous for, but other than that, they can be naive and uninformed just like the rest of us. Does Gwen's statement have an outsized influence? Sure, but I also don't think celebrities should ever be anyone's role models, okay? So I don't mind them saying silly stuff. By the way, the media backlash against her also made a note as to how she didn't say much during the COVID, recent COVID era Asian hate crimes on those subjects, right? What the what now? Why the heck would I expect some random Italian-American musician to weigh in on this particular subject, right? Entertainers are superfluous presence at best. But seriously, try to imagine if Gwen actually did say something when Asian Americans are being attacked, okay? I'll bet there's a higher than 50% probability that she'd be laughed out of the room for weighing in, where she's clearly an outsider. So she wouldn't have won no matter what she decided to do, right? She chose to do nothing, people didn't like it. She did something, people wouldn't like it either. This is ridiculous, okay? Anyway, what do you guys think? Am I not harsh enough, too harsh, or just too dismissive of celebrities in general? I never mind a debate so long as it's civil and polite. Okay, cheers. I'll approach it.